19 minutes past 11 o'clock right here on Power FM Zimbabwe. It's time for us to get into From a Men's Perspective. And as you know, Sir Bruta, my co-host, is joining me. Good morning, Sir Bruta. How are you doing this morning?
I'm okay, Rachel. How are you doing?
You're fine?
I'm better. I was down with a cold, but I think I'm getting better. I knew
but good to know that you're feeling much better.
I'm much better now.
Great. So it is from a men's perspective, and as you know, it's right here on Power FM Zimbabwe on The Connection every Friday from around 11:15 all the way until 12 o'clock. We'll be talking to you, the men. This is your segment, and we want to hear your opinions, your thoughts, and you can get in touch with us by giving us a call on 0242 498 652 or come through on our WhatsApp platform number 0712 831 172. Also joining us, a professional counselor coming through there. We've got Mr. Tass, Mr. Tasunungurwa. He's joining us. He was with us on Wednesday and he's back in the studio. Good morning to you, Mr. Tass. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Miss Wright. I'm okay. I'm all right. It's good to be back.
Great. So today we're talking about, the mental health. It's Mental Health Week as well.
Oh, yeah,
and, we want to focus on men's mental
it's
health.
Mental Health Month.
Yeah. So we want to focus on mental health, men's mental health. And, sometimes how men, when they're going through a difficult time, then they can resort to drug abuse because of their challenges. We should be having Oscar Pambuka joining us later on, but we're going to proceed with the program and we just want to talk about that. Now, Sir Bruta, mental health for men.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a kind of socialization that we've had, and sometimes we actually do not pay enough attention to issues to do with mental health. And like you're saying, there's a very complex relationship between mental health and substance abuse. You find some of these things tend to be intertwined in certain instances, whereby it's the mental health that then leads people to start, abusing substances, abusing drugs, and going to the bottle as a way of finding some sort of a consolation.
The bottle?
Yeah.
Only?
Not necessarily the bottle only, but I'm saying, most people, what they tend to talk about is when we talk about substance abuse and drug abuse, we tend to focus on, other drugs, but we hardly ever talk about alcohol. But there are people whose lives are actually being ruined by alcohol, There's perhaps, a healthy... can I say healthy? Perhaps that doesn't go in the same sentence as alcohol, right? Yeah, but I think there's
a controlled.
Yeah, when you're doing it to with to a moderate extent.
Yes.
But some people tend to overdo it. And it has also ruined as many lives perhaps as. Just as drugs have also, ruined lives, especially nowadays. There's so many illicit brews, tumkozodo, tumsombodia, tudikidiki tumotirenge chinuya nevano, and zvinokanganisa vanhu, even health-wise and mentally. Sometimes you can't even have a decent conversation with someone anymore because they're imbibing this illicit stuff.
It's interesting you actually brought up the aspect of alcohol, because some people don't consider alcohol as a drug.
Yeah.
They because kachita sama drugs teta some hard substance.
Hard substance. Yeah.
But alcohol is also part of drug. You can also put it. It's actually under category drugs. Oh, yeah, if you Google it, it is actually, because if you become an alcoholic, when it's not done in moderation, that's when things can actually go haywire.
Yeah, they can go south easily.
We want to talk to the men. We want to find out, when you are stressed or when you're going through something, what do you turn to as a coping mechanism? I think that's something that we also need to find out from the men. So if you can get in touch with us by giving us a call on 0242 498 652, or you can come through on our WhatsApp platform number 0712 831 172. As a man, when you're going through something and you want to, relax and, just take your mind off a particular issue at that time, I know it can't be forever, but at that time, what's your go-to? What do you usually do? If you can just let us know. Now, Mr. Tass, if you can let us know, from a counselor's perspective, from a professional perspective, when men, have you noticed that men have a go-to that is unhealthy when they're trying to cope with, mental issues or things that may be weighing them down?
So actually, that's a very interesting question and important question. Actually, you realize that it's like Brut said here. It's as men, so we have been socialized to not talk about these issues. So what people may end up doing is usually we end up associating or socializing with people we think have the solution. And fortunately or unfortunately, most of the people who have these solutions are the people who usually use who abuse alcohol and also use drugs. So they'll tell you, you know what, so usually what ends up happening when a person ends up going to somebody who is toxic, is because they have tried other avenues that they think as remakise or as I end up going to somebody I know who is confident. And most of the times people who are confident are the people who use substances, are the people who abuse drugs. Once you go there, that's where you're then told, no solution. This is your last resort. So, and most people who end up abusing drugs when initially they were not even inclined to using substances, it's because they are desperate. So sometimes they end up using alcohol or drugs and substances as an alternative to deal with the
all right. 498652. You can give us a call there. Prefix that with 0242. You can also come through on our WhatsApp platform number 0712 831 172. We are talking to the men. Sean here says that as for me, when I'm stressed, I actually end up taking 4 to 5 shots of tequila. Then that bo.
Wow.
But Zagawande. I'm 4 or 5.
No. It's actually not about the
quantity.
The quantity. It's actually this. It's actually, there's actually a term for that. It's called escapism mentality, where we are constantly trying to, seek to escape our realities. But if you do take, say 5 shots of tequila or 1 shot of tequila, 1 shot of tequila rather, when you then get sober, has the reality changed in any way? Because that's what we want to talk about, to say is the drugs or whatever, the alcohol actually helping you in any way in terms of the actual problems that you're facing, or you need tangible assistance in dealing with whatever you're dealing with.
Very true.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe, Sean, you can just, as a question that's coming through, when you actually take your 4 to 5 shots of tequila, do you feel better? And is that sort of a solution? Maybe your brain of Africa to more solutions to your problem, you can answer that. But let's find out who's online. Good morning, you're live on Power FM. Hello? Ndeiburubo. Hey. Let me ask you this question, Babadi. Imi muno madore? Makasire ku Madoro 2007. Wakachikisidzoro tusiye doro.
Maivura ombere babadi.
but kuzonetsa kana wakura kushanda mari yacho iwana but nopana macontribution kana makama.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thanks so much for coming through there, Babadi. We appreciate it. 498-652. You can come through on our WhatsApp platform number 0712-831-172. Hanzina Sean in Pandora Rama Shots ayaga brain zangu dzinova dzavhurika totanga kuonera mama plans anenge akupinda mu perspective unenge akuziva kuti ndozvifambisa sei. Thank you so much for coming through there. Let's find out who's calling us. Good morning, you're live on Power FM. Baba mukasei aiwa taura henyu takateerera.
Ndona sokuti zvonongo zvitozviuraya wese because hapana panguva unogona kuti ndakunza zviri nani but zvichipera wakudzoka futi kundofungaya futi saka hapana zvonongochiita but chakakosha kusolva problem dzacho.
But madzibaba imi munomwa doro here?
Ndakarisiya ndaimwa ndakasiya.
Kwamakazosiyirei kumwa doro?
One chinhu chokutanga ndechekuti kuvhura hombe kuenda kuchechi kwandienda akudiwe chi
akudiwe doro kuvhura hombe kana muchiri kuvhura hombe
zvekuti unenge wakupefoma zvimwe zvakadarikidza zvekuti kana usina kumwa doro vanosokuti wandokunzvira tsitsi kuti kunyarara kudai kwakanaka.
Okay, all right.
Taitojamba kusimudza gumbo kudai kuti munhu anototamba kudai sona.
Okay, all right.
Kapane doro rinopamwe ma-emotions rarinokutuma so. Kozeta mumwewo anotopefoma kutopefoma zvezvi kuti kuchikora anotoona bhuku sebhuku. Saka zvinongosiyana nemunhu. But nhamba huru zvimwe zvapana zvazvinenge zvitobatsira. Unongochitozviuraya wese. Otherwise kutokanganisa neutano hwako zvekare.
Okay, Madzibaba, thank you so much for your contribution. Definitely appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Great. All right, 498-652. Give us a call there. You can prefix that with 0242. You can come through also on our WhatsApp platform number 0712-831-172. Now, a lot of people are coming through and they're talking about alcohol. Can we say alcohol is bad? As a psychologist, I'll hold you onto that one. But can we say alcohol is bad? But first, let's hear who's coming through. Give us a call on...
You put on the spot, right? She just put on the spot.
You know?
No, sir, brutal. Let's be honest.
Yeah, of course.
No, I think chakashata mono, you know. No, that's the honest truth, you know. Because they do some right. Because one wadoro, you get a sense. Okay. There are a lot of people who drink because maybe they're just drinking and whatnot. I think Izo is really right. What we are saying is, do not use doro as an alternative or as a solution if you're facing more problems. Because I change it, you get a sense. Of course, you're going to escape that reality for a few minutes, but after you've sobered up, you know, Dutch courage says you're still going back to having to face your reality. So what we're really, talking about is this escapism mentality where you're using things like alcohol and other substances to sort of like escape your reality. But you're only going to do that temporarily. But after that, you go back to facing your... So it's just no, and they handle their alcohol very well, you know. So that's okay. We don't... but because even kudara in Chona there's a word that says marambadoro. Kuna mwa naturally kutote anofana kutongosiyana ile doro because ane marambadoro akatongorinwa asipere mushe, you know. So yeah, but it's also true. No, I don't know kana wachinwa is really decent, you know.
Go ahead.
It's fine because that's a personal choice at the end of the day. Okay. But kana uchirinwira kuti njenge reality yako, you know.
You're not doing all right.
You're not doing yourself justice.
All right, let's find out who's there. Good morning, you're live on Power FM.
Hello.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Alcohol may be hazardous health.
And this also?
Drug abuse may be hazardous. Alcohol, hazardous.
Okay.
Saka imimi mukati doro makurisa mama drugs.
Saimi muda clarity pekuti sei tukuti alcohol iri kuzosvika pakudaro.
Because ini dia randakabata rakanyorwa kunzi alcohol may hazardous taken excessive or ameno zvakanyorwa. But madrugs anoti drug abuse kureva kuti munhu rimwe riri shoma uri kuabuse kuti doro rinogona kuzoshata kana kwani.
Alright, regai vazokudara tina psychologist vari muno vanozogona natsokudairai mubvunzo yenyu yamauya nayo iyi.
Yeah, I think munokupa clarity pakuti zive kuti kana doro rakunzi radrug then senyika
tiri pamahwani. All right, that's fine. Thank you so much for coming through. Mr. Tass.
Yes, Ms. Rash.
Anzi, but do you understand what his question?
Yeah, I think I do understand his question. Kutari kuti alcohol rakanzi may be hazardous. But if I recall very well, I think zvanzvisiri pa chibepa chefodgere kudhara. If I recall very well, maybe. I don't know what padoro ripe alcohol may be hazardous.
Yeah, it's
also
maybe
yes,
hazardous.
maybe hazardous, yes.
Okay.
If consumed to excess.
Okay, so which means there is a condition, and there's a condition. In other words, according to that statement, ukatadza kuva ne-self control pa-alcohol. If you don't understand yourself, mfeso wangu Mr. Bruce vanorova 2 macots or vanorova 3, then vanenge vabo saka inini haandofana kurowa an average of 2 or 3 pamwe unotorowa ne-quarter. You don't even need kutombosvika ku2 kana ku3 ndofana kunzi may be hazardous. So you need to know the amount kana according to that statement, you need to know my quantities anoenderana newe. I've been talking to some of the guys vamwe vanotsorova doro zvokutodaro nchimuti but iwewe unomuka usina bhabharazi rimwe tibho rinomuka richirwadziwa nemusoro akatanga kundiexplainera kunzi no unoziva zvinoenderana neweight futi inini weight yangu inoita kuti ndiabsorbe zvakanaka plus ndinodya chikafu akanditsanangurira zvakatsanangura, which means he understood. He understands himself kuti nini kuti ndisvike pama certain quantities andifanira kupadarika ipapo. Then when it comes to issues of drug abuse, the reason why we're saying drug abuse is because vanhu tatadza kuita use zviri right. Kune inotonzwa drug use, but the reason why we don't talk about drug use because drug use haina problem. Problem iri kuzoya pa-abuse. Kushandisa chinhu hakuna chakamboshata. But the moment wakutanga kutadza kuchishandisa wakuchi-abuse ndopatiri kuti ndopane problem. So unoona watopuwa ma-drugs kuchipatara.
Like Bronchlia.
Exactly. You know? Bronchlia mushonga wechikosoro. If you use it nicely, but the moment you start abusing it for other activities, whether you feel high or you stick with whatever, that's now abuse. We are talking about things that are negative. Drug abuse, alcoholism, etc. So once something that becomes abuse, and that's why we have to talk about it.
Now, the gent also asked, Kuti, is alcohol a drug? Yes, it is actually considered a drug, Auntie. The reason why it's considered a drug is because it's got a psychotropic central nervous system. It's a psychotropic central nervous system depressant. So it's categorized in that area. Of course, that is what drug. That's why it's called alcoholism, Auntie. You're alcoholic because you are now abusing it and you're dependent on it. Drug use iri right yamataura Mr. Tass. It's good, right? Cough syrup, it's meant for specifically to treat cough iri severe. But if you abuse, kuti muchi wana ma side effects amwe kuti ustike. Same thing with alcohol, Auntie. Makui abuse. Kuti
upedze namo
namo dzako dzeso usafunge Auntie
aipedze namo kuti uite ngo wapedza namo
but that impression alcohol impression
temporarily.
And sometimes unfortunately most people think that they are in control of alcohol, they know how to control it, but then in the end one is not hours in the control
and also I think when we talk about alcohol, kuna types, kuna imwe isina kuvhenekwa, kind of that you actually don't even see in shops because the people, whoever is making it is not even licensed to be making it, because they need to be some of these things they need to be looked into kuona kuti achikanganise health evanu and to what extent, but some of these things you find them on the streets kana mashopa hazviwanike because hazvina kutariswa, they have not been vetted. Saka ndo imwe issue yacho nekuti I think when angachitoti ndakatobata rangu, that's what you were saying. I think ndo saka apindirwa munda make. But I think there is a type of alcohol iri kunyanya kutaurwa nezvayo yekuti izvi kunwiwa nevanhu yekuti unotoona kuti iri doro richiri doro rega rega, you know, when you see munhu wachona achibehave, or when you see munhu akarara kana paside pechi, you know, just quite recently I was taking a walk in my neighborhood, then you know ndobva ndanzwa sound, but it was angari manheru, but ndakashauta sound iri kubuda nepapo mumauswa, so ndobva ndazotarisa, then I see this gentleman akarara asi tombogona kutaura, kubvunza kana zita rake kana chichi, he was blank, you know. Then you look at it and you say, doro rimwe rinenge ratinoona here chinwiwa nevanhu vese, or amene uri mutype yedoro yakunwa. So you find turiko tumadoro twakadaro, I think ndo tumwe twacho, you know. Yeah, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a lot of contributions that are coming through on our WhatsApp platform number. Let's just read some of them out and then you can get to respond.
Sure.
First one says, guys, I do not condone substance abuse, but the use and abuse of drugs and other things is just like the symptom. So let's look deeper into the cause.
Yeah.
That's the disease we need to deal with. Tav in Santon. And then this one came through with a message saying that from the Bible, an English Standard Version of 2016, Proverbs 31, 6-7 says, give strong drink to the one who is perishing and wine to those in bitter distress. Let them drink and forget their poverty and remember their misery no more. Right. That is a contribution
From the Bible.
Yes. Good morning to you, Rachel, Sir Bruta, and Mr. Tass. Yesterday, we were celebrating the International Day for the Boy Child. The main thing under discussion on the day, we went out therefore the boys are positive role models. Emotional expressions allow them to express themselves, safe spaces to avoid issues of drug and substance abuse and mental health support. So let's also talk about of bleaching as a form of substance abuse. Okay, I think we'll talk about that at some point. Ansidoro rasiyana inekuenda ku church nai varume. Vanhu vanoswera ku church praying, but it doesn't change their realities of life. Vabva ku church unongosvika kumba wakamirwa nema problems ako. Saka doro rasiyana inekuenda ku church. Matrix from Mutare coming through there with that one. Okay. Thanks for the topic there, guys. I was recording for my boyfriend. He said, Dora Renata, but tomorrow we'll still be on the same page. So that's the problem that I have. And vamone marambadoro as well. Saka unotona kuti, you know, they can get drunk, auntie. Murume wangu inini hadi kusiya doro anti and anotita maramba doro zvekutodaro because anouya pakati peusiku ndomuka ndomuvhurira door akapinda mumba anopakura chikafu mudinner plate yake obva adzisa maplates ake obva apedza obva adya but hadi kusiya doro murume wangu. Yes. So those are some of the contributions that are coming through. Remember, you can also give us a call on 498-652, prefix that with 0242. I'll start off with Mr. Tass, who's a psychologist. Saka, he understands these things. Then I'll go to you, Sir Bruta, as a man.
Okay. So pataura ma issues akati one day apa but nchatry kuti ndi anchakwanisa kurecall nchatry kuti ndimbotaura about them. Maybe let me start off ne timboenda ku church mbijana pane munhu ataura zvemavhesi angaitaura zvekuti mwai pai munhu doro, somebody who's about to perish, akanga nenhamo dzake. Of course I might need to do some research on that, but pandakamboverengo 2 minutes about that particular verse or verses. Zvaitwa kudhara ndezvekuti hanzi munhu aizoti kana amupeni zvazvo akurwara zvazvo zvekuda kufa ndo yakanga dafa in courts mercy killing yekuti omanaka munhu ikoyo hapasina hope but ari kurwadziwa but zvadhakwa saka mwemutasei mupei pain easy yachange iri chii ayanga iri aukawo. That's how I understand it. But I might need to do further research, and thank you for raising that particular point. Then pane mazotaura chitanzi zvekuchechi zvakasiyana zvedoro nechechi zvakasiyana chi. Okay, so in my opinion, I'm not going to defend any of the sides. I'm going to try and be as objective as possible. Alcohol urikutora urikuisa mukati mako, so it's likely to damage. Alcohol church aikwadze makidneys aikwadze liver chichino liver ndiri affectwa nealcohol andikuona saka doro rinogona kukwadza liver rako ma certain parts ndosa uchizorwaenda kwa doctor akuti chimbomira church iri kukanganisa doctor angokuti chimbomira wadi wambomira alcohol ukaenda kwa doctor unopiwa mapills unonzi aya mapills andiri kupa yaka hadi kuti ungochimamwa kana uchimbomwa chimbomira umbomwa mabeers umbotanga wamborowa medication, and you understand. But church haina izvozvo. Not only that, I also agree kuti kuchurch ne kuma similarities ukaenda kubawa, I'm sure munombotaura munombonotaura nyaya dzenyu motaura mana zvangu zvakaoma ndodii. Of course munombotaura. Saying it out, talking to somebody is one of the therapies that not to encourage around. You have somebody that you trust, that you can talk to. So it could be masawira ekubawa, or it could be masawira ekuchurch. So ndopakanakira both church, ndopakanakira futi zvekubawa. Isu tinongotaura panyaya yekuti let's try, kana kuri kunzi doro racho riri kuramba kuti usiye, gara waziva kuti alcohol may be hazardous. So in other words, you need to be very responsible. I hope ndabata issues that have been raised.
Tichazosvika pa issue yekuti hanzi we'll get to it. I just want Sebruta to respond and then we'll get into it. Where yekuti let's look at what is the real cause of mental health and why then people are now moving to substance abuse. So Sebruta,
I'd just like to say shout out to Tav, is one of our regulars. I think he sort of like brought back our conversation into perspective. Do you see what Tav said?
Yes, guys, I do not condone substance abuse, but the use and abuse of drugs and other things is just the symptoms. Let's look deeper into the cause. That's the disease we need to deal with. And I think this is very important because we are saying men are going through mental issues.
So I think I like his contribution because it takes us back to what we were talking about in the first instance, to say all these things that drink responsibly and things like that. We understand that people have got mental health issues that they may not even be aware of. So we are saying instead of opting for to take alcohol as a way of dealing with whatever you're going through mentally, or socially, you would rather find better ways of dealing with the problem so that you can permanently deal with these issues. Because ukangobva padoro uchadzokera my problems here, which is why you find we then end up having people who are committing suicide, or who are overdosing on substances because they are going through a lot. So what we are trying to really say is to say, if you're going through something, find solutions, find people you can talk to so that my problems are gadziriswe permanently. Rather than, this escapism mentality where you just seek to escape your reality briefly, but then you come back to the same scenarios and there's the same situations basically. So we're saying, that's
true.
You're drinking casually, very fine, but types if we want to do a social research, we give shop, we give the other one the rukubva. But now 10 minutes, don't go to a difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what we are simply trying to say. You've got something going on in your mind. It's not going to help you. It's not going to bring solutions. Find solutions by finding someone to talk to. Mr. Taz Wariko, who are professional counselors. Go and talk to them. I'm sure, like you're saying, you always try to remain objective.
That's very true.
Which is a good thing. And I'm sure you also have safe spaces where Arume can come and... But I think Arume does
that's very true.
That kind of thing. That's very true.
Mr. Taz, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Some men may not be able to identify that they're actually having, they're going through something. And, they don't realize that it's actually a mental issue that they need to deal with. Because mental how do I identify how do I identify I think I'm not at my best. I think I'm overweight with something. First, how do I identify that? And then secondly, what are some of the healthy coping mechanisms that men can actually take?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that, Miss Rash. So you find kuti vanhu vakasiyana. People are different. So you find the way you identify anosiyana from one person to the other.
All right.
First thing, unfortunately, realize that I think I now need help.
Yeah.
But kazhinji kacho ukaona wako overwhelmed, whatever is happening in your life, your day-to-day activities. Waiwanzomuka na 4:30 wotanga kugeza kuti uye kugraft. Anditi. Then all of a sudden wautaanza unyope utoti auna kurarama neru out ungori pa den same time every time, but this time utonza utoti auna kana energy yacho kuda kutombomuka kudaenda kubasa. Something is wrong. Ona zongo akajaira kuita. zvakunetsa kuti zvichiitika aiwa wotozwa kuti pane zviri kuitika and ndisizoti chii exactly. Then imwe nyaya ndoda kuti nditaurawo maybe isiri related kumurume kuti mafesi madzisawira maspouse masisters masiblings, the moment you start seeing kuti bhuti zvavamboita kudhara mufesi wangu zvavamboita kudhara aiwa pane machange aripo and change iyi utaza kuti haizi right aiwa chimbeni unotaura naye just go ask them. Kana waona kuti haasi kukwanisa kuda ku at least look for somebody ari close to them, because nyaya iripo futi yekuti mukwanise kubetsera munhu inyaya yekuti do you have a relationship nemunhu yeye ndio inodetermina futi kuti unokwanisa kuzomubreaka here kuti ataura kuti pane mahwana aripo I can't share with you, then you can then help them to seek maybe professional help. Because nyaya yanga ichitaura naSebruti yekuti pamwe pacho varume tichikati inozozara muJerusarema. So those are some of the ways you can identify kuti something is wrong. My day-to-day activities ako, then also unogona kutanga to monitor even behavior yako. Mazuva ndiri kungoita tumwe tuhasha twandisungudzisa kuti chii chiri kuitika. O mazuva ndiri kufila kunge ndiri kungoita mistakes andiri kuita kubasa ari too slim ari
clumsy.
Kuti chii chiri kuitika. Those are some of the ways you can actually change in diet. Or appetite yako inogona kukuudza kuti something is wrong. Or sometimes pachirungu vanoti insomnia, you're failing to sleep, unonoka kurara hausi kuziva kuti chii chirumbo, you can't really identify kuti nei ndiri kushaya hope mazuva ano. Or sometimes wakurarisa futi, or appetite yako yawedzera, or appetite yako yapera. Those are some of the signs. And so the main thing is ukaona wangona mamwe machanges asiri positive, ukaona machanges that these are unusual changes, this is not me, then you know that something is definitely wrong. So some of the coping mechanisms you can actually engage, like we said, at least talk to somebody that you trust. But one of what a problem shared is a problem half solved.
Yeah, true.
This is why uchiona wakadzika avanzete chi avanzete pressure sterek say Bruce mukatobuda izvo na Miss Rach izvo so the time amunosvika downstairs up unotoziva kuti Miss Rach hakuna mafuta padeni zvakaoma bhe zvari kuzondiita graft zvandiri kuita nanhingi 2 minutes unomatoziva, but say Bruce unowanopedza gore rese musikatomboziva kuti padeni pavakatomboshaye mafuta ekubikisa. You understand? So it's important to at least talk to somebody, engage in physical activity. Enda kumabhuza weekend chimwe unotamba mabhuza nerimwe team kana fara zvokujoga hudhi yako ichiita kuti joga ita chiactivity chinongoita kuti ungofila. Those are some of the basic mechanisms that you can actually use to cope.
I like that, because someone also came through, that's Presley from Blawayo, say that as for me, when I'm angry, I exercise or dance or do something I love doing, and after I'm done I feel like a burden has been lifted and I'll be able to think straight and calmly after that.
Yes, well done Mr. Presley. That's the way to go. Something.
So we're saying, instead of you going to abuse my drugs, alcohol, in terms to kanganwe your problem, look for an activity that can actually help you release.
Yes, to help you release, because your problem is also identify the type of friends yaunotamba navo madzisawira, because pambacho unosvika pressure wopesera wako conforma, you end up giving into conformity. Arega ndingokwana isusu kwedu kumafesa ukarova fodya kana kuti ukarova ma-drugs kana ukaita sei ukarova you look cool and zvinoita bo sometimes zvikazvira kuti chimbochinja madzisawira chinja, because zvinogona kukonzeresa even worse. It will get you into more trouble.
Well, interesting. Anotamba mabhuzo pedzera hasha dzako pabhora reman une Arsenal. I don't know, something
manje izvozvo ndo zvimwe manje zvakonzeresa
serious
ndo zvimwe zvakutokonzeresa izvo zvekuona kuzoona kuti ini ndosapota timu yakati ini timu yangu gore rega tanga kunzi nhasi yadyiwa mangwana yadyiwa mangwana yadyiwa. Trust me, unogona kutoshaya kuti imwe stress iri kubva kupi, utoshaya kuti hope dziri kubva kupi, vamwe vacho inyaya kuti pakaipa hatitaure matimu ndingazomanyiswe.
All right, 498-652. That is the calling line. Maybe you've got your own contribution that you'd like to come through with, or you can come through on our WhatsApp platform number 0712-831-172. As we are talking about these important things, it's always great to have professionals like Mr. Taz coming through, vachitibatsira vachituonesa sevarume kuti zvinofamba sei. Handisi murume zvangu, but ndiri kutodzidzira ipapa as well, which is great. Okay. Sebruta, maonero enyu auntie from Jataurana, Mr. Taz. This is something that's practical as a man?
Yeah, it is actually. If you put your mind to it with utmost sobriety, I think it's doable. Huh? There's no doubt you need to approach things from with a sober mind. I don't mean sober no. I mean sober mind is with a clear mind. It's not my prejudices and biases.
That's true.
Yeah. So I think what he also mentioned really important is that you need to be your brother's keeper. Sometimes Munarimo situation if depression or stuff like that might not voluntarily come to you and say something to do. But we need to look out for those who are around us. Watch them. I think these are very real things. But withdraw. From you, Maimbo, Chilana, Chimbonana, Chichi, but even when I got in a not ego to Krumidzaenda. So I think those they're actually signs and symptoms that we need to be on the lookout for. So that once do patch it in a time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to ask this question, gents, if you can answer this one with all honesty.
Okay, sure.
As a man, should you tell your woman your problems? Mati uchagamuno kutora nai.
This was.
Pamanzi trust ase bruta kuti vano Jerusalem yese inenge yakuziva kuti kumba kwangu hakuna mafuta. Ndotaura ere nemudzimai wangu semurume kuti finance zangu hadzinamira kuti bo. Because I want to say this, coming from a woman, I don't mind hearing, my man's problems, right? But sometimes women, I don't know, there's something, I don't know if it's how we're created, there's something in the back of our minds. Panic a level of, I don't know if I should use the word respect. Teaser, so I was a murume kashinga. You know, you get what I'm trying to say.
I look up to you.
I look up to you. Look at serious about yeah. So in all honesty, is there a certain level? Panama problems that you know go zabzimai wake or gumirapa. Zimwe jeso chagova mwe no go na kuturikiro na mutsawo kwari.
Mr. Matogona magara matotaura kuti pamwe pacho vakadzi vanozosvika panenge imwe level yekuzoremerwa. So it still boils down to the type of relationship that you have. Because pamwe pacho une mukadzi wako, she is a vote. Handiti handozoti nyaya dzandakataura hapana kana one yakambobuda. But though on average, of course, it's not scientifically proven. But on average, chingonzwa mukutaura like you are saying kuti kazhinji magigabytes evakadzi kazhinji vacharichi ari limited. Anogona kuti kana 1 gig chachasa anoswera akrasha. So this is why we always usually encourage kuti talk to somebody who is a professional. Because mukadzi wako one day muchazoti mambonetsana ani muziva marelationship anu anombonetsana they might end up using it against you. Anditi but kushare nemunhu wako nepartner yako, sometimes you might share with mazano pane zviri kundiremera, I think I just need professional help. At least they should know kuti pane zviri kukunetsa. They might not necessarily need to know everything, but munhu wako at least akuziva kuti pane zviri kunetsa munhu wangu, this is why ari kuti they will need to seek what professional help. Waya kuma professionals paya tumboti maya kuma therapist, maya kuma psychologist, tokonazona kuti nyaya sebrute iri kutoda kuti timbo involve mudzimai wacho, tomboita yatinoti isu topesera tauti yatinoti isu a couples therapy. Tono tanga na sebrute tanga tadhila nawo but toona kuti support system yawo mudzimai wawo. Sebrute munokwanisa kuti adzimai vazowire toita iri couples therapy then tokubetserai mese, because remember mudzimai wako pamwe haazi professional. Saka agoni azozive pekudhila kuti ndodhila sei nema one aya andaudzwa nemurume wangu aya system yobve yacrash. So usually encourage system
crash.
But I also encourage us as people wanted sema face sema baba and stuff like that. Let's also try and research around these issues, sema mental health. Not only that, let's also take an active part kutotsvaga kuti guys, where can I get the help? Tisangomereza ngoti kana tazocrash tozotanga kutsvaga help or kutsvagirwa help. Sometimes let's take that active role yekuti ungati read around. Let's also look for areas or certain areas where we can find help.
We're almost running out of time, and Mr. Pambuka just joined us. Oscar, how are you?
Morning, Rachel. Power FM, good morning, Zimbabwe.
Great. Chingoti gaga 2 minutes. When it comes to drug abuse, and is that a coping mechanism, especially if you're going through something as a man?
The moment you inhale those drugs, you're actually making it worse, because those drugs are a temporary sort of remedy, so to speak. But the long run is very catastrophic to the health. So I would suggest that it is very vital to stay away from these menacing vices. I don't know what you think.
So stay away from these
Yes,
menacing
because
vices.
the moment, especially, okay, there are various types of drugs, as we have mentioned on various platforms, mbanje, cough mixtures, and most particularly the chemical compound mutoriro. That mutoriro, once you take it, uchifunga kuti you're trying to rectify your emotions, you're actually making them worse. So it is very, very advisable to be alert, especially regarding this social menace. Yeah.
And for you, for someone who's actually used drugs, Auntie, what is now your coping mechanism that you've adapted to? From you drug abuse, what is now your positive coping mechanism?
Restoration. You need to restore all the bad habits which were found within you. In the Iputambanje, they doesn't matter drugs. But now we have changed the discourse. It's now restoring my business, restoring my health, restoring my mental cavity, restoring the relations you have lost, restoring the networks and all the things which you have gone by. So the new thrust now from a negative is to move forward and say, no, I'm still there. This can be rectified, I can be corrected, and I can be healed and learn from the experience.
We just wanted to find out a little bit more from Mr. Pambuka. I mean, of course, we've been talking to Sir Bruta, we've been talking to Mr. Tas, but as someone who's actually walked this particular line, he knows what he's talking about, he's experienced it. And I'm going to start off by asking Mr. Pambuka, the abima drugs amaka shandisa imimi because vamwe vatonzi soti kana pamwana vachifonga mutoriro chete. The abima drugs amaka experimenta now, you know, when you were using drugs at the time, when you were abusing drugs.
So I told you that this is a demon. So the demon continues to manifest and manifest. In Mbanje, listen very carefully. From Mbanje, we went to the cough mixture. From the cough mixture, ana bronga, ana PP, that kind of cough mixture. From that, you know, the skunk. Because from one level to the other, what takes you there is the addiction level of intoxication. As it weakens, it takes you to the next level. So from skunk to toriro, a chemical unita salt ya that compound makaona inta salt godo. Don't ignore those signs and symptoms, murimumba, especially with your children. Easy salt. Investigate further, because that chemical compound is a demon and a hadzoke kudzoka dzinge dzanyasha kuti udzoke panzvimbo, because there are a lot of effects of this drug. Psychosis, you are, you know, your brain cells pane area the cognitive domain, which is responsible for your thinking, for your planning, for your creating your future. So you destroy that one. So the abnormal. So that is what I've gone through.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you, hey, it's a dangerous road, that one. You lose a lot of friends, you lose finances, your health goes, and ultimately, you die.
Now, Mr. Pambuka, people may be wondering, you know, maybe someone has started on this journey, Auntie, and it can be, is it difficult kusia? Is it difficult kusia?
Uriwega. Hondo yacho inokwanisa kunetsa. Indakabatsirwa nekusungwa.
Alright.
So kukufarirwa kana ndakaitwa kwekwe kujeri for 1 year. It evaporated, mutoriro wese wakabuda. Tumbanje twakasarira twakabuda twese. Tumushonga. You see what I'm saying? Without isolation, rwendo rwacho ndoona kunge it will be very difficult. You need a very supportive structure if you have to pursue that route.
Pamakasiya, Auntie, you said pamakavarirwa, Auntie, when you went to prison, and you know, we thank the, you know, correctional services that
definitely.
are there, because this is what actually helped you get over the drugs. Pamakasiya, tudakunzwa withdrawal symptoms I may experience at the time. What were some of the withdrawal symptoms that you experienced? Pamakonot ancha kwanisa kuva ne access kuma drugs uko.
since that place is a place of authority, you cannot do what you want. It's not a Mickey Mouse place. College so I would control those cravings. Famba. You see, Nakatumbo affect was the first 2 months just walking about to and fro, but trying to ease the addiction. Number 2, sleeping became a very powerful tool to heal my addiction. Because remember, outside, before we went through the gates of college, we were not sleeping. I could spend 3 weeks. You see what I'm saying? So this is what is happening with most of our youth and most of the people who are using drugs. Just ask yourself, you forget today it's a Friday. You forget you forget the appointments you've made. You see what happens? Okay. Then college, just imagine from 3 p.m. to 6 a.m. 17 hours zegurara. That became a healing for me.
Okay.
You get me? Tansika jgepanzi taijgama Zepnex. Ma druggies or vanorova vanoshandisa ma drugs ava avadye vanodya to ma Zepnex, to my chips, to my freeze, to my snabasa. That is what was happening outside. In prison, beans became the diet. Protein was restored in the body now. The carbohydrates were coming back. The sleep was now you see what I'm saying? So you come back. Without a good diet, without sleep, it's difficult to resurrect.
Okay. Financially, now let's talk about financially when it comes to drug abuse.
Definitely not affected. Because, okay, for like, I lost a lot of money during that era. You can use $300 in a session here. Because the more you start using drugs, you don't do it alone most of the times. You're doing it in groups. So you see what happens? The amount of financial drain which is happening. And the effects of this, especially Mutoriro, it causes chivindi.
Okay.
A person can look at himself like Nicolas Cage, but I can jump that jura over.
Dutch courage.
Thank you. That's the right word. So the drugs are dangerous. Vananoroma drugs. Ane chivindi. Anokuitira zvinhu zvokuti unoshamisika kuti is this possible? Because they don't care. The drug creates this heroic type of feeling kuti ndiri Superman.
Apana
zvamunondiita. So that hallucination can cause criminal activity. It can cause social despondency to sickle. So that is why these things are very dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah.
And coming back into society, what has been the reaction? Has it been positive? How are you feeling about coming back into society? After going through the correctional service system and coming back as a new man, how have you been finding it so far?
To begin with, I think the people of Zimbabwe. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they give people another chance. Because I was very open with my story. As I've gone through a certain phase of my life. So I respect them. And may God bless each and everyone. Oscar Pambuka since I came out of college. A lot of things have happened since coming out of college. Remember college kwatiruko, it's a place of prayer.
College
okay, kwatiruko college. Okay, tuku prison. Nanda kutara pachibanditi. Sorry. Okay, right. Ku prison. Yes, it's not a good place, but guess what? There's righteousness there. Wow. That is where you see your purpose. On my side, I was lost. Then while it's there, I began to see yesteryear pictures. Niripa news desk, Nipa Nandavi, the hallucinatory Oscar. Then I introspected. God began to speak now. That was a rejuvenation. So I think that moment, because without, and as I don't think I would have been restored.
Yeah. Well, amazing.
Oscar, maybe I just want to ask you one question. Right.
I can safely say, right.
Meanwhile, no, excuse me. I'm particularly, inspired by your story, Oscar, because yours is a story of hope. Like you said, good. Washoma ended down that road, who are fortunate enough to then come back. But you are on a path of restoration, and you're also thanking the experience of kind of incarceration and whatnot. Of which the thrust of the incarceration, even if you see the theme, their theme, it says incarceration. Then rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders into society, which is a good thing. And I'm also happy that you're also saying kuti because I think sevano tinokanganisa, but we need to be accorded second chances.
Definitely.
Kanata kwanisa kuenda through that process of rehabilitation. Then we change ourselves. Like you were saying, I'm particularly inspired by your story because first and foremost, do not even go down that road. Then going forward, can I wind down that road? There's still hope for you, So I think your story is a very
it's an inspiring one.
It's an inspiring one that we really felt the nation needs to hear, and you have done justice.
And I give thanks. It should be done to a lot of prisoners who are coming out, a lot of these inmates. It's Oscar, but look at the others. Some of them they don't have anyone to reintegrate them now back into society. And this is a clarion call that we should look into those issues, because otherwise the Appalachia generation is over, it will recur again. They need to be, after an inmate has come out of that place, I believe psychologically, financially, so that we clear misguided elements.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Pambuka, for coming through to the studio. Definitely appreciate it. I'm on my program. I know.
Meanwhile.
But I just wanted to thank the First Lady, Dr. Osilia Mnangagwa, for roping me in the fight against this menace. Dotenda Saka, that is very paramount, because once the mother of the nation has intervened, it becomes very national. And there's no batika. So, Mama, I salute you.
Well, thank you so much for coming through to the studio. Definitely appreciate it. This is Power FM Zimbabwe. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Lunchtime radio. We are ready to rock you.